If it's important enough to me, I'm going to really prioritize it and get it done, get the things done. On the flip side is that if you have a goal and you're not doing the things towards your goal, maybe that's not the goal for you because you're not taking the urgent steps to do it. So determining what's at stake, what you can gain from doing something or what you can lose from not doing something is a way to create urgency for yourself or assess the value of urgency for yourself. Bam. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Young Win. As you all know, they call me the Ninja, and you can call me Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, entrepreneurship, success, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Episode 50. So excited. Great milestone today. I'm very excited to be here. And as you know, or if you're new to the show, I like to always start each episode with some gratitude. You can't enjoy things in life without being grateful. And alternatively, you can't enjoy success without a sense of gratitude. So I want to express my gratitude to all of my audience out there, new and old, people who followed me along this journey since day one. You know, we just surpassed our 1-year anniversary this past March. This is the 50th episode. And so I want to say thank you for all the likes, the comments, the follows, the shares, especially the shares, subscribing. For those of you new to the show, this is a non-sponsored show. So I do this on my own, I like to say on my own dime with my own time. And so the only way this show grows organically is through the sharing of the content. So if you find value in this show, I like to say if your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow, because that's the only way we get the message across and out there to our goal, our mission statement for the show, which is inspiring billions of lives across this planet in a very positive way, usually through motivation, success, and entrepreneurship. So thank you so much for everybody who's been on this journey with me and for continuing along this journey with me. And so as this is the 50th show, and for those of you new to the show, just a little bit of background, just to remind everybody, immigrant family from Vietnam after the war. Parents were very successful entrepreneurs in a small business at their peak, doing 4 to 5 million, 50 employees or such. I've carried on the torch as a physician, also a lawyer and a businessman. So I have a law firm in Houston. In fact, we grew our staffing by 30%. So we're very successful in helping clients change their lives, and have very other technology businesses in healthcare, sports and entertainment, and so forth. So not greatly successful in a sense, as you would say, compared to others, because as you go back to episode 1, success is a unique definition to each and one of us, but along the journey and along that process. So enjoying the fact that you are on that process with me. So episode 50, I had a debate over what to talk about. And so I didn't want to do anything specifically special for episode 50 other than to talk about urgency in the sense of business and success. I've come across many successful people in all areas of life, as a parent, as a community leader, as an athlete, as a business person, as a lawyer, as a doctor. And what I've found is that all of these individuals share, among the many qualities of success that they share, one in particular is their sense of urgency. And what does that mean? What is it urgent, or how urgent are you? It's an expression. There's a cliche, I think Elon Musk said it, like if you give somebody 30 days to complete a project, they'll complete the project in 30 days. If you give that same person 30 hours to complete the same project, they'll complete it in 30 hours. And so urgency is a sense of timing. And how I define it is thoughtful decisions coupled with thoughtful actions executed in a quick manner in alignment with your goals. Okay? Thoughtful decisions combined with thoughtful actions executed in a quick manner, quick as in pace, in alignment with your goals or the process towards your goals, your plan for your goals. And so what happens is that people do not act, or I should say unsuccessful people act without a sense of urgency, because they're not thoughtful and deliberate in their actions or in their decisions, and therefore they're not thoughtful and deliberate in their actions, and therefore it's impossible to act quickly if you haven't thought through your decisions. And therefore, it begins with thoughtful decisions coupled with thoughtful actions. As stated, if you give somebody 30 days to do the same project as you give them 30 hours, they're going to fill that time, because they're not forced to be thoughtful in their decisions and not forced to be thoughtful in their actions, and therefore they're not forced to finish a task in a quick manner. But why is urgency so important? Because business, as with success in life, is competitive. And believe there's no new ideas under the sun. If you got a great idea, a great business plan, somebody else probably has the same idea or same business plan, but maybe even better. And so when you take two comparable business plans and business ideas, urgency can be the differentiating factor on who ultimately gets to be most successful. Because somebody that's being thoughtful and deliberate and executing quickly is going to get to their goals much more quickly than somebody who is not, who's just pacing along. Okay? So how urgent are you carrying yourself? How urgent are you doing your day-to-day activities? How urgent are you in your own life moving towards your goals of success? Are you being thoughtful and deliberate in your decisions, which lead to thoughtful and deliberate actions? And even so, are you executing those actions quickly? So the idea here is that all the successful people, all the ways to be successful, and all the means to be successful requires a sense of urgency. And so when you break urgency down a little bit more, how do you create urgency? Right? So there's a debate on whether urgency comes from within or if it can be created in order to move urgently, right? So there's two factors involved with urgency. I believe it's a little bit of both. Urgency can be gained out of just your natural drive. You're just a fast-moving person. You just want to act quickly. When I grew up in my parents' business, there was a guy, great worker. And he would just, instead of, they had a 30,000 square foot facility, 10,000 square foot facility. And rather than just kind of walk from area to area, this kid would jog from area to area. He would run around people getting his work done because he felt like he had to move urgently. And that was just his natural motor. You see this in sports a lot. Guys that just have a different motor, they just move faster. And they're infatigable. Like they just don't get tired. They just move urgently. That's a natural drive. So in a sense, some people are naturally driven to be moving quickly and urgently. Their brains act quicker. Okay? But what if you're not don't have that gift or talent? I also believe you can build urgency. And building urgency requires two things. One is understanding the stakes involved. Okay, so understanding what is at stake in your decision and your actions. What can you gain or what can you lose by either taking action or not taking action? Okay, because when you tie it to a stake as an S-T-A-K-E, when you tie it to a significance or an importance to you, if it carries that priority for you in terms of being significantly important and significant to you, you're going to move quicker. You're going to decide quicker. You're going to do things just more quickly because it's more important to you. And so the determination of importance or priority is based on the determination of what is it at stake for you. What does it mean to you to do something or not do something? So if for example, if the importance is landing a huge contract for whatever, $10 million for you, versus a contract worth $100? Which one are you going to plan more urgently for? Obviously, if money's the priority, you're gonna be more urgent about getting the proposal for the $10 million project. But $100 project, you'd be like, man, I can make $100 in 30 different ways. So you're not going to be that urgent about that. So the determination of what needs to happen and what's at stake if you do or don't do something is key in playing a role in your urgency. But at the same time, you can work this in the reverse process too. If you know you got a project out there, or you know you got an action that you got to take, but you don't do it, and so you're not urgent about it, that's a moment for you to actually reassess on how important that project or that goal is to you. Right? Let's say you have one of your things for success is, I want to lead a youth group to do charitable activities for a nonprofit. Let's say you want to create a nonprofit that you're pulling together a youth group to do some charitable activities for the community. And let's say it takes you forever to even set up that 501c3, to go talk to a lawyer, to get your documents in a row, to start marketing or doing all the things that's necessary. It takes forever. It takes months to get started. Then really, without that sense of urgency, was that project really that important to you? Because your life went on without it. So the stakes weren't high enough. Right? If they were high enough, you'd be on it. Boom, boom, boom. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And that creates the urgency. So it's one way to, on the one hand, when you look at what's at stake related to urgency, on the one hand, you can look at it as, if it's important enough to me, I'm going to really prioritize it and get it done, get the things done. On the flip side is that if you have a goal and you're not doing the things towards your goal, maybe that's not the goal for you, because you're not taking the urgent steps to do it. So determining what's at stake, what you can gain from doing something or what you can lose from not doing something, is a way to create urgency for yourself, or assess the value of urgency for yourself. The second component of urgency, obviously, is timing. Timing. Let's go back to that nonprofit, for example. If you give yourself 6 months to get it started, it's going to take 6 months to get it started. If you give yourself 6 days to get it started, it's going to take 6 days to get it started. Back to the original analogy I talked about at the start of the podcast. So in other words, you can create a sense of urgency by giving yourself deadlines tied to actions. Deadlines tied to actions. Hard deadlines tied to actions. Because deadlines without accountability, they really don't mean much. So when you set out a project plan, or you have an idea, or you want to execute on something towards your own personal goals, put these hard deadlines on there. And the deadlines for accountability can actually work two ways, right? If you hit the deadline, you can reward yourself with something, right? Whatever it is. Let's say, for example, for me, I tie it to, I have my diet, so I tie it to something that I can indulge in if I hit a target. Now, on the flip side is, if you miss a deadline, you have to essentially punish yourself some way, somehow. You have to hold yourself accountable and maybe not do something you're allowed to do. Just like a kid, you withhold something from yourself. Let's say I enjoy going to the golf range for an hour a week. If I miss a deadline on an important project, maybe I withdraw that from myself. Say no golf range this week. Right? You have to tie accountability to the deadline. And even if you want to accomplish a project or something quicker, set your realistic deadline and then move it forward by an increment, a unit of time. So let's say I'm going to give myself 5 days to write some document that I need to write. And so realistically, I can get it done in 5 days. But instead of putting it the 5th day as the deadline, I actually make the 4th day the deadline. So that's going to create another sense of urgency, right? And so in the end, when you tie what's at stake to a deadline, you create this sense of urgency. And ultimately, what does that mean? Why are successful people urgent? Because when you're urgent in your execution, right? When you're urgent in your, going back to the definition, thoughtful decision-making coupled with thoughtful action executed in a quick manner in alignment to your goals or your process or your plan. When you execute quickly, you get to build what? Momentum. And momentum is so critical for success. Because when you build momentum, success stacks on success. When you accomplish step A, you get to move to B, to C, to D, to F, and you're building that curve upwards towards success. If you're not urgent, what happens? You get complacent. And complacency destroys what? Momentum. So, you go to step A and you're not urgent. So you let it languish, you just let it sit. And then you maybe get to step B, and then you let that sit because you're not urgent. And you're slowly getting to step C. So you can see how one graph, the slow one, is like this, but when you're urgent and stacking success on success, that graph is going like this. And for those of you on audio, I was showing a flat line basically for the non-urgent case and a steep slope up to the left for the urgent case. You get to stack momentum. Okay? So, to summarize, urgency is thoughtful decision coupled with thoughtful action executed in a quick way in alignment with your goals, your process, your strategy, or whatever it is towards your pathway to success. Success is critical. It's a common component amongst all successful people that I have observed, been associated with, or have been around with. They are all urgent in getting shit done. Success, on the one hand, can be a natural gift, urgency on the one hand can be a natural gift that people possess. If you just have that inherent motor or drive in your body, in your mind, in your thought process in getting things done. But on the other hand, you can also create urgency by understanding what is at stake, what can be gained from doing an action, or what can be lost from not doing an action, coupled with tight deadlines that are tied to accountability, either through rewarding yourself for hitting deadlines or punishing yourself for missing deadlines. The key to the deadline is accountability. You can't miss deadlines and just say, oh, well, I get it next time. That is not accountability. Self-accountability. You got to be accountable if you want to create the deadline. So, understanding what is at stake, the importance or priority to you, coupled with deadlines. So, episode 50, kind of brief, but it was just an idea in my mind because just having finished 75 Hard, it's been a few weeks. I've kept with most of the discipline, but I felt I was getting a little complacent and not as urgent. And so I thought to myself, man, how do I kickstart again in my discipline to get back to the level I was? To me, that was a sense of urgency around projects that I'm working on. And so getting urgent around those spawned the idea, let's talk about urgency, how I view urgency, and hopefully you gained or learned something from this to become more urgent with your goals on your pathway to success. So, episode 50, if your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. Please do. If you found value, learned anything from this episode, or just learned a way to think about urgency that you haven't thought about before, please share the show. And if you haven't already, click subscribe on YouTube or follow on all social media, Spotify, iTunes, all that, so that you're notified and turn on your notifications so you're notified when another episode drops, typically every Thursday morning, 4 a.m. Central Time. So please do share the show. And upcoming soon, we have a very, very special guest in our next episode. Very excited to bring this guy in town. You're going to really love this show if you're especially a basketball player. You're really going to love the next episode. But Prolific Ninja here. Happy to bring you another episode. Looking forward to talking to you again very, very soon.